Crappy anime is my scapegoat. Hi, hello, I'm Faye, and welcome back. So if you couldn't tell, I kind of like anime. I used to be very much a snob and very picky about my anime. The only things that I would watch were the highest rated anime, so stuff like Dandadan. This isn't me dissing Dandadan, by the way, I really love the show. But genuinely, if the title was more than like 4 words, I was not gonna watch it. That was until I was in bed one night. For context, I like to watch anime before I pass out, so I was browsing Crunchyroll as usual, and all the anime I had been keeping up with have been updated, and so I lay sad. Until I saw the most beautiful looking garbage ever, an Archdemon's Dilemma, How to Love Your Elf Bride. Okay, so for more context, I like to browse Animegram, so I saw a comment I think recommending this romance, so laying bored in bed needing to have something pumped into my brain, this seemed like the best time to pull this out of my pocket. Thus, my world was expanded, and thus this video was born. Therefore, I think we have some reviews in order. So let's start with the titular bitchular, An Archdemon's Dilemma, How to Love Your Elf Bride. The simple concept is, a sorcerer falls in love with an elf and shenanigans ensue. The longer concept would be that the sorcerer falls in love with an elf, and she was being sold, so being in love, he spends his life savings to buy her. With that in mind, I was expecting to hate the show. I don't. I think that it's really cute and funny, especially because the writing takes the narrative of the sorcerer wanting to treat his elf bride as an equal, and eventually he becomes an archdemon and manages to remove the collar around his bride, but she chooses to put it back on in like an engagement, like ring sort of way, which he admits like isn't the best, and you know, I can appreciate that. It's not that like, and it's clear that like they fall in love with each other, and he definitely doesn't force anything onto her. He treats her like an actual person, and I think that's why the show resonated with me so much. If I had a quarter for each time an anime did the buying the main lady trope, I would have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it happened twice, right? Yet, I like the more generic fantasy setting rather than the ancient Magnus Bride's high fantasy setting. Why? Because you can go batshit crazy with whatever you want, and the audience is going to go. Yep, I agree. This anime is a solid 7. The concept manages to have a suspension of disbelief, yet also has a lot of room to explore the characters. No, I don't like how he bought his bride, but what's not to like? But again, he doesn't force himself on her, and she doesn't make her feel pressured to do anything for him. It's always the elf herself who's the one proposing ideas or taking the initiative. He's very clearly does not want to treat her like an object, which I personally enjoy. Also, I'm still mad about Barbados. Okay, next slop show. I'm the villainess, so I'm taming the final boss. Okay, so hear me out here. This show is actually decent. Yes, it is an isekai. It's a middle grade for me, at least with a 5-star rating. As the title implies, the villainess is actually the isekai protagonist who is sent into her otome game and gets dumped by the male love interest for the player character. Out of spite, she decides to go after the brother of the male love interest, who happens to be a half-demon and also the demon lord. Okay, so hear me out again. This was actually the first crappy anime I watched, but instead of being in my bed, I was in my desk chair. Yes, I did bury the lead. This show was a doozy. It was like the first 5 episodes, we met Protag-kun and Dragon Man, and then we meet the betrayal, then more plot about just how the Demon Man is related to Protag-kun's ex-fiancé. The pacing is the main drawback of the show. It just seems too fast. By the 5th episode, we see how, with the power of love, they managed to defeat the evil side. Now they are officially engaged, which is honestly good for them, man. I can appreciate how they fell in love and they wasted no time. I love when shows don't have that dumb drawing out the confession thing. It's super boring. The chemistry is actually decent as well. Nash is working to infiltrate the school for rich nobles, which the second game that Protag-kun plays in the same universe. By this point, I lost interest and dropped it, which is fine because not all of these are going to be winners, and if I'm not vibing with it, I'm just not gonna force myself to go through with it. Up next, if it's for my daughter, I'd even defeat the demon lord. This anime takes place in a generic medieval setting with all kinds of monsters and adventure like Dale can make money hunting down. One day, while finishing up a mission in the woods, he stumbles upon a young demon child. The lore that gets dropped right at this moment is that the young girl has a broken horn, which within the world means that the girl herself or her family is now disgraced due to something that either she or the family has done, and that was against the demon laws or ways of being. So Dale, the best guy around, decides to follow the girl because what ass decides to leave a helpless girl in the woods? Once that side quest is completed, we see that her caregiver is actually dead. Therefore, Dale decides to take her in. We see her get a bath and her first meal in the bar. We learn her name is Latina. No, not Latina. Like the nationality, Latina. It's spelled the same way, just with a capital L in a slightly different, enunciation. As always, she's such a good kid and learns the language really fast. Keep in mind that for the audience, us, this is English. We also see that Dale can speak a little bit of the demon language, which coincidentally sounds like the magic spells that they use, because Dale uses magic, and it's actually really fascinating how the spellcasting language is similar to the demon language, which makes me think that there's a connection there. Oh, this is also important to note because I think that it's going to be important as of later. As I'm being a lazy slug in my bed on my laptop writing the script, I have not picked it back up. I'm worried that the show is going to take a turn, and that was going to be traumatizing and make me hate my life choices that led me up to this moment. I'm on episode 4, Latina's going to attend school, and then on my script here, there's just a little smiley face. But in all honesty, I worry that, like, this is going to turn into, like, a Rin and Shishomaru situation, which I cannot believe happens more often than you think it would. But I really didn't want to see this happen, and I don't think it will, but I definitely eventually will pick this back up again. I can't let that happen again, man. Now for la creme de la creme, Dance with Devils. This show looked like the crappiness that I wanted, the pacing that I could handle. It also did dub perfect. However, it threw something at me that I never expected. It was a musical. I cannot explain to you the power that this anime has. A crappy dub with actors who sing a translated song. I really thought that we were only gonna have a singular song, yet they just kept singing. This anime made me realize, no, I couldn't even make it 10 minutes into the first episode. It was such a shocker that I actually laughed at my screen when I realized what this anime was going to be about. And I dropped it instantaneously. I think that there's something that gets lost in translation, like literally when you translate songs into different languages. If you ever hear covers of like anime openings, you'll notice that like they sound off because the way that syllables work and the way that sounds work, like it's really, I'm not a linguist, I can't explain in like the best concept, but there's something about like the way that consonants work and beats and rhythms that like you can't just translate a song like that. It sounded okay, but it was so off-putting to me because nowhere in the Crunchyroll description or anything said anything about it being a musical. Like literally it was really weird and I cannot get over it. So yeah, that was my experience with Dance with Devils. Thank you all so much for watching. Do you have any crappy anime that you watch and recommend? I really hope that I can continue to consume more and more of these types of shows as the anime seasons come and go. Right now, what I'm watching and hoping I will make a video on eventually is Don't Toy With Me, Miss Nagatoro, which I'm actually kind of enjoying. I wasn't expecting to like it, and I'd actually been putting it off for a little bit. I don't like Nagatoro's flesh tooth, but that's something for a different day. But as of right now, I'm very happy with the anime that I've liked. Not all of them have been winners, but a lot of them have been actually really decent. Thank you all so much for watching, and I hope you guys have an amazing whatever time it is of day where you are. Thank you all so much again for watching. Bye-bye.